We are live.
Yay, it's Monday. It means we've made it through the weekend. I am Old New Dude, and the Nettles live stream famous judge slash participant is.
Richard of House York, Astro's Trueborn son. That was definitely not expected, but I should know better. If I show up around Nettle, she winds up drafting me.
Yeah. They should. The NFL should hire her just to draft on that day, not knowing anything about the players or the team. Just like, you're drafted to San Francisco, you're drafted to New York, you're drafted to Dallas.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I went to go Ice and Fire Con. I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I didn't bring any costumes. I'm just gonna be relaxing, and then things did not go as planned. And then
Nettles is extremely hard to say no to. And also, there was someone else you wanted to give a shout out to.
Oh yeah, so my I guess my debate partner was Grow Waste Tim, and then our other opponent in addition to Girl Nettles was David Lightbringer, LML.
That's top of the totem pole right there.
Yeah, and when we were doing introductions, he's like, "Oh yeah, I recognize you from my friend Old New Dude's channel."
I keep telling everybody I'm famous. Nobody believes me, but I keep telling them I'm famous.
So yep. Anyway, so clearly he has watched it. Although I don't think he's ever showed up to any of our live streams live. He's clearly watched, it's clearly watched at least one on replay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be honest, I mean, I had ran it through David Lightbringer when I was starting the rereads, and I wanted to get a back and forth. I didn't want to do it by myself. I figured try to get somebody that knows a lot more than I do would be better. He was definitely in support of me and you doing the channel, so he gave you the thumbs up. And the rest is history.
Well, so Chris is waiting for the wall, and Edward Martin, who was has definitely watched the debate, says in the shadow of the moon, my sorrows bleed. Stuff, guys. Rich put it down. Was proud of my guy. 100. And then Mother Royd's also here. Says, "Hey family, house smells like peppermint now." Well, it's a pleasant smell. It's not my favorite taste, but I do like the smell.
I do too. I actually did not go get any peppermint oil this weekend, but I do have to go out this afternoon, and that is on the list for me to get.
I suppose we probably ought to throw at some point, maybe after the stream's over, I'll throw a link to the debate in the comments.
Yeah, and definitely, hey Sanji,
Sanji.
Definitely a big shout out to Nettles, for sure. She comes on here every now and then. We love her.
Oh, it was a blast. I like when she does this to me.
Forced enjoyment.
I said what are friends for? We were talking about it afterwards on the DMs, and I was like, oh yeah, what are friends for? It was great.
There you go. All right, we got JV5. Oh
yes, Storm 37.
Since how we get to talk about one golden-haired god, I'm wearing a shirt of another golden-haired god.
Fair enough.
So there we go.
Fair enough. Storm 37, Jamie 5, the bathhouse. Harrenhal's bathhouse was a dim, steamy, low-ceilinged room filled with great stone tubs. When they let Jamie in, they found Brienne seated in one of them, scrubbing her arm almost angrily. "Not so hard, wench," she called. "You'll scrub the skin off." She dropped her brush and covered her teeth with hands as big as Gregor Clegane's. The pointed little buds that she was so intent on hiding would have looked more natural on some 10-year-old than they did on her thick, muscular chest. "What are you doing here?" she demanded. "Lord Bolton insists I sup with him, but he neglected to invite my fleas." Jimmy tugged at his guard with his left hand. "Help me out of these stinking rags." One-handed, he could not so much as unlace his breeches. The man obeyed grudgingly, but he obeyed. "Now leave us," Jamie said when his clothes lay in a pile on the wet stone floor. "My lady of Tarth doesn't want the likes of you scum gaping at her teats." He pointed his stump at the hatchet-faced woman attending Brienne. "You two, wait without. There's only the one door, and the wench is too big to try and shinny up a chimney." The habit of obedience went deep. And of course now, the implication there is that They're worried about Brienne escaping rather than Jaime? It doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense. Anyway, the habit of obedience went deep. The woman followed his guard out, leaving the bathhouse to the two of them. But actually, maybe that is George hinting at us. It's possible. But anyway,
Yeah, that's true.
the woman followed his guard out, leaving the bathhouse to the two of them. The tubs were large enough to hold 6 or 7, after the fashion of the free cities, so Jaime climbed in with the wench, awkward and slow. Both his eyes were open, though the right remained somewhat swollen despite Qyburn's leeches. Jaime felt 109 years old, which was a deal better than he had been feeling when he came to Harrenhal. Brienne shrunk away from him. There are other tubs. Yes, that's the reason you went in, is because it was big enough to hold 6 or 7, Jaime. Yes, that's why. Okay. This one suits me well enough. Gingerly he immersed himself up to the chin in the steaming water. Have no fear, wench. Your thighs are purple and green, and I'm not interested in what you've got between them. He had to rest his right arm on the sure you're not. Had to rest his right arm on the rim, since Qyburn had warned him to keep the linen dry. He could feel the tension drain from his legs, but his head spun. If I faint, pull me out. No Lannister has ever drowned in his bath, and I don't mean to be the first. Why should I care how you die? You swore a solemn vow. He smiled as a red flush crept up the thick white column of her neck. She turned her back to him. Still the shy maiden? What is it that you think I haven't seen? He groped for the brush she had dropped, caught it with his fingers, and began to scrub himself desultorily. It's hard to say. Even that was difficult, awkward. My left hand is good for nothing. Still, the water darkened as the caked dirt dissolved off his skin. The wench kept her back to him, the muscles in her great shoulders hunched and hard. Does the sight of my stump distress you so? Jaime asked. You ought to be pleased. I've lost the hand I killed the king with, the hand that flung the Stark boy from that tower, the hand I'd slide between my sister's thighs to make her wet. He thrust his stump at her face. No wonder Renly died with you guarding him. She jerked to her feet as if he'd struck her, sending a wash of hot water across the tub. Jaime caught a glimpse of the thick blonde bush at the juncture of her thighs as she climbed out. She was much hairier than his sister. Absurdly, he felt his cock stir beneath the bathwater. Now I know I've been too long away from Cersei. He averted his eyes, troubled by his body's response. That was unworthy, he mumbled. I'm a maimed man and bitter. Forgive me, wench. You protected me as well as any man could have, and better than most. She wrapped her nakedness in a towel. Do you mock me? That pricked him back to anger. Are you as thick as a castle wall? Yes, Dunk. That was an apology. I'm tired of fighting with you. Let's make a truce. Truces are built on trust. Would you have me trust the Kingslayer? Yes, the Oathbreaker who murdered poor, sad Aerys Targaryen. Jaime snorted. It's not Aerys I rue, it's Robert. I hear they've named you Kingslayer, he said to me at his coronation feast. Just don't think to make it a habit. And he laughed. Why is it that no one names Robert Oathbreaker? He tore the realm apart, yet I'm the one with shit for honor? Robert did all he did for love. Water ran down Brienne's legs and pooled beneath her feet. Robert did all he did for pride, a cunt, and a pretty face. He made a fist, or would have if he'd had a hand. Pain lanced up his arm, cruel as laughter. I mean, the truth is that Robert did what he did because he had to, because his execution had been ordered by Aerys. But anyway.
Yeah.
He rode to save the realm, she insisted. To save the realm. Did you know that my brother set the Blackwater rush afire? Wildfire will burn on water. Aerys would have bathed in it if he dared. The Targaryens were all mad for fire. So that really makes it sound like Tyrion is a Targaryen. And of course, we much prefer the Chimera theory.
Yeah, I like that.
See old New Dude's previous Wednesday theory stream with Lady Thistle and Lizzie. And also Triplet Targaryens episode 5.
Thank you.
Jaime felt lightheaded. It's the heat in here, the poison in my blood, the last of my fever. I'm not myself. He eased himself. Yeah, sure, Jaime. He eased himself down until the water reached his chin. Soiled my white cloak. I wore my gold armor that day, but gold armor? Her voice sounded far off, faint. He floated in heat, in memory. After Dancing Griffins lost the Battle of the Bells, Aerys exiled him. Why am I telling this absurd, ugly child? He'd finally realized that Robert was no mere outlaw lord to be crushed at whim, but the greatest threat House Targaryen had faced since Daemon Blackfyre. The king reminded Lewin Martell gracelessly that he held Elia and sent him to take command of the 10,000 Dornishmen coming up the King's Road.
Hey, on that note, on the who's the best father, Rhaegar did not leave Elia and his children at King's Landing, he left them at Dragonstone. Correct?
Ah.
Isn't that what he said in the debate?
Go to Elia and sent to take command. Sent us Norseman. Where does it say that?
No, I'm talking about your debate this weekend.
Oh, no, I don't think that's true. I think they're obviously there, and we know that they get their head smashed, right? His head smashed in, and
I thought that Ares sent for him. I don't know. I can't remember. Go ahead.
Maybe. All right. Maybe. I don't know. Where were we? To take command of 10,000 Norsemen come up the King's Road. John Darry, Barristan, and Selmy rode to Stony Sept to rally what they could of Griffin's men, and Prince Rhaegar returned from the south and persuaded his father to swallow his pride and summon my father. But no raven returned from Casterly Rock, and that made the king even more afraid. He saw traitors everywhere, and Varys was always there to point out any he might have missed. So last chapter, Stannis convinced me that Stannis convinced me that Barry convinced him that Dorcas / Varys probably wanted Aerys paranoid, and Jaime seems to be on that same page, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just because that makes him more valuable, not because he wanted to tear the realm apart. So his grace commanded his alchemists to place caches of wildfire all over King's Landing, beneath Baelor's Sept in the hovels of Flea Bottom, under stables and storehouses, at all 7 gates, even in the cellars of the Red Keep itself. Everything was done in the utmost secrecy by a handful of master pyromancers. They did not even trust their own acolytes to help. The queen's eyes had been closed for years, and Rhaegar was busy marshalling an army, but Aerys' new mason dagger hand was not utterly stupid, and with Rosert, Bellis, and Garrigus coming and going night and day, he became suspicious. Chelstead, that was his name, Lord Chelstead. It had come back to him suddenly with the telling. Now that may be Branton leaping. Maybe he wants Bran and Jaime to have more clarity about these events. I don't know.
Okay.
More likely that's just the way people remember things.
Yeah.
I thought the man craven, but the day he confronted Aerys, he found some courage somewhere. Now that actually does sound like could be divine Branton leaping.
There you go.
He did all he could to dissuade him. He reasoned, he jested, he threatened, and finally he begged. When that failed, he took off his chain of office and flung it down on the floor. Aerys burnt him alive for that and hung his chain about the neck of Rosert, his favorite pyromancer, the man who had cooked Lord Rickard Stark in his own armor. And all the time I stood by the foot of the Iron Throne in my white plate, still as a corpse, guarding my liege and all his sweet secrets.
Still as a corpse. I mean,
yeah,
half a corpse, half a god.
That is interesting. So, with Stannis believing that Davos was executed, could Stannis name Melisandre Hand? Because that's the parallel here. It's the one who he sends his fire sorcerer advisor,
mm-hmm.
right, to kill the man who's expecting to face the honorable man expecting to face a champion.
Uh-huh.
Stannis thinks Davos is dead. He probably ought to pick a hand, and so this could imply that we'll see Stannis name Melisandre Hand. The parallel.
Well, I mean, she's the only other person he trusts.
It would make a lot of sense. Yeah, that just hit me on this read. I never thought of that until I was reading this. Putting these notes together.
It never hit me either. But as soon as you said it, it does seem right. Who else does Stannis trust?
Yeah. My sworn brothers were all away, you see, but Aerys liked to keep me close. I was my father's son, so he did not trust me. That's an interesting statement. Right?
Yeah.
Privilege for Guards, episode 5.
Yeah, I'm just like, that's a perfect sentence. He kept you close because he was your father.
Yeah, you can't trust Jaime because he's the Mad King Aerys' son. Anyway. He wanted me where Varys could watch me day and night, so I heard it all. So Jaime is telling us that Barristan and Arthur were not complicit here in the major crimes, right? Anyway.
Yeah.
Despite how the debate went, I actually don't think that Barristan is all that complicit. Anyway, he remembered how Rosert's eyes would shine when he unrolled his maps to show where the substance must be placed. Garrigus and Bellis were the same. Rhaegar met Robert on the Trident, and you know what happened there. When the word reached court, Aerys packed the queen off the Dragonstone with Prince Viserys. Princess Elia would have gone as well, but he forbade it. Somehow he'd gotten it in his head that Prince Lewin must have betrayed Rhaegar on the Trident, but he thought he could keep Dorne loyal so long as he kept Elia and Aegon by his side. So that's what you're saying there, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I got it in my head somehow. It just got switched around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
left
no,
her.
it's the other
Yeah,
way
he left her.
around. They're
Yeah,
already there. He's keeping them close.
yeah. My bad.
Okay. Yep. The traitors want my city, I heard him tell Rosert, but I'll give them naught but ashes. Let Robert be king over charred bones and cooked meat. The Targaryens never bury their dead, they burn them. Aerys meant to have the greatest funeral pyre of them all, though if truth be
Hey,
told,
do you think that is a nod to the wildlings north of the wall burning their dead? Was it tradition from the
Hmm.
Valerian blooded people that were among the first men that were there for the battle of the dawn?
that it's a long-standing tradition from the
Yeah.
time of the Long Night. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
like
possible.
we say that Relore is a version of a religion that happened during the last
Yeah,
long
that makes a
night,
lot of sense. Yeah,
then with the
yeah.
burning of the yeah.
Well, of course, their words are fire and blood, so there's some logic just from that sake, just for that
Yeah.
sake too. But yeah, though if truth be told, I do not believe he truly expected to die. Like Aryan Brightfire before him, Ares thought the fire would transform him, that he'd rise again, reborn as a dragon, and turn all his enemies to ash. Lady Thistle says, "Oh no, I'm late."
Oh, why? Why?
You missed all the discussion of the debate and stuff. Anyway,
I know.
and
Should have to go rewatch it.
we've also decided that Melisandre is going to be named Stannis' hand. Was there anything else that
Fiery
we
hand.
decided? Anyway,
Yep. Fiery hand.
hey,
Hey, now look,
speaking
you
of
just
girl
had
nettles in
discussion
the
of the
debate,
debate.
speaking of the debate, she just got here too. Welcome. We were definitely talking about you. Your ears might have been burning.
A little bit.
Ned Stark was racing south with Robert's van, but my father's forces reached the city first. Y'all were talking shit about the debate? Not about shit.
No, no, no.
I think more like respect.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm back. Rich, you were amazing, brother. Thank you, Edward. I think Girl Nettles was amazing too, right? Anyway, Ned Stark was racing south with Robert's band. Well, we did the part. Pycelle convinced the king that his ward in the west had come to defend him, so he opened the gates. The one time he should have heeded Varys, and he ignored him. My father had held back from the war, brooding on all the wrongs Aerys had done, and determined that House Lannister should be on the winning side. The Trident decided him. Okay, yay, says Girl Nettles. It fell to me to hold the Red Keep, but I knew we were lost. I sent to Aerys asking his leave to make terms. My man came back with a royal command. Bring me your father's head if you are no traitor. Aerys would have no yielding. Lord Rossart was with him, my messenger said. I knew what that meant. Of course, the irony here is he's being commanded to execute his father by his father, which he
Yep.
does. See,
Yep.
Triplet Guardians, episode 5. And the girl Nell says, hello, Edward Martin. And Edward says, Nettles, it's always amazing. Anyway, when I came on Rossart, he was dressed as a common man at arms, hurrying to a postern gate. I slew him first. Then I slew Ares before he could find someone else to carry his message to the pyromancers. Days later, I hunted down the others and slew them as well. Belus offered me gold, and Garrigus wept for mercy. Well, a sword's more merciful than fire, but I don't think Garrigus much appreciated the kindness I showed him. The water had grown cool. When Jaime opened his eyes, he found himself staring at the stump of the sword hand, the hand that made me Kingslayer. The goat had robbed him of his glory and his shame, both at once. Leaving what? Who am I now? The wench looked ridiculous, clutching her towel to her meager teats with her thick white legs sticking out beneath. Has my tale turned you speechless? Come, curse me or kiss me or call me a liar. Something. Kiss me? Really, Jaime?
Yeah, that's what I was going to
Wonder why
say.
you came up
You
with,
throw kiss
wonder why
me
you
in
came up
there.
with that one.
Yeah.
If this is true, how is it no one knows? The Knights of the Kingsguard are sworn to keep the king's secrets. Would you have me break my oath? Jaime laughed. Do you think the noble Lord of Winterfell wanted to hear my feeble explanations? Such an honorable man. He only had to look at me to judge me guilty. Jaime lurched to his feet, the water running cold down his chest. By what right does the wolf judge the lion? By what right? He's far more of a hypocrite than Jaime realizes. See Triplet Tigers episodes 1 and 2. A violent shiver took him, and he smashed his stump against the rim of the tub as he tried to climb out. Pain shuddered through him, and suddenly the bathhouse was spinning. Brienne caught him before he could fall. Her arms Her arm was all goose flesh, clammy and chilled, but she was strong and gentler than he would have thought. Gentler than Cersei, he thought, as she helped him from the tub, his legs wobbly as a limp cock. Guards! He heard the wench shout. The Kingslayer! So Jaime is constantly comparing his new love to his old.
Yeah.
Lady Thistle says he's been anticipating the reaction to the story for over a decade, asking himself if he'll be praised or shamed. Curse me or kiss me. Oh, that's good. Everyone else has lots of hand symbolism. Green hand, old hand, hand of the king. Christianity, there is symbolism for the hand being part of a whole. Jaime, he thought. My name is Jaime. Kind of like how Robert explains to Cersei how the Dothraki are scary because they fight as a whole. Oh.
Yeah.
The next he knew, he was lying on the damp floor with the guards and the wench and Qyburn all standing over him, looking concerned. Brienne was naked, but she seemed to have forgotten that for the moment. And this is one of those moments when Preston would probably say that there's time loss, but I would argue it's just the fact that people do, in fact, black out or lose consciousness or fall asleep. Which is the bigger army, 1 or 5? Okay. Brienne was naked, but she seemed to have forgotten that for the moment. Interesting that Jaime doesn't miss this detail. Brienne is too worried to notice her own nakedness, but I don't know if Jaime could ever be too indisposed to notice Brienne naked.
Yeah.
The heat of the tubs will do it, Mr. Qyburn was telling them. No, he's not a maester. They took his chain. Yeah, you're just keep remembering that, Jaime, because you're about to forget that again. There's still poison in his blood as well, and he's malnourished. What have you been feeding him? Worms and piss and gray vomit, offered Jaime. Hard bread and water and oat porridge, insisted the guard. He don't hardly eat it, though. What should we do with him? Scrub him and dress him and carry him to Kingspire if need be, Qyburn said. Lord Bolton insists he will sup with him tonight. The time is growing short. Bring me clean garb for him, Brienne said. I'll see that he's washed and dressed. Brienne was asking why she should care before. I don't think we talk enough about how Brienne is also learning to care for the hated Kingslayer.
Yeah.
And so this is maybe the moment when she's really coming to acknowledge that his act wasn't so heinous and he's not such a bad guy after all.
Yes, but in my sick mind, my question is, if the sight of her arouses him, he's naked. You can't. Before it was hidden by water. Now it's not hidden at all.
Okay. The other, so her desire to clothe him is perhaps not entirely chaste, is what you're telling me?
Well, I mean, if he is excited, she knows it.
Sure. The others were all too glad to give her the tasks, which makes me wonder, do the others give tasks to humans? It's an interesting thought, anyway.
Yeah.
They lifted him to his feet and sat him on a stone bench by the wall. Brienne went away to retrieve her towel and returned with a stiff brush to finish scrubbing him. One of the guards gave her a razor to trim his beard. Qyburn returned with rough spun small clothes, clean black woolen breeches, a loose green tunic, and a leather jerkin that laced up the front. Jaime was feeling less dizzy by then, though no less clumsy. With the wench's help, he managed to dress himself. Now all I need is a silver looking glass. The bloody maester had brought fresh clothing for Brienne as well, a stained pink satin gown and a linen undertunic. He's a bloody mummer former maester, Jaime. You just clarified this a minute ago. I'm sorry, my lady. These were the only woman's garments in Harrenhal large enough to fit you. It was obvious at once that the gown had been cut for someone with slimmer arms, shorter legs, and much fuller breasts. The fine Mirish lace did little to conceal the bruising that mottled Brienne's skin. All in all, the garb made the wench look ludicrous. She has thicker shoulders than I do and a bigger neck, Jaime thought. Small wonder she prefers to dress in mail. Pink was not a kind color for her either. A dozen cruel japes leaped into his head, but for once he kept them there. Best not to make her angry. He was no match for her one-handed. Yes, I'm sure concern the woman who just cared for you would physically assault you is why you held your tongue, Jaime. You keep telling yourself that. Qyburn had brought a flask as well. What is it? Jaime demanded when the chainless maester pressed him to drink. Licorice steeped in vinegar with honey and cloves. It will give you some strength and clear your head. Bring me the potion, said Jaime. That's the one I want. It's a fantasy world with animated corpses. Could that be a real thing? Why not?
Yeah. I think it's one of what could happen to Jaime is he gets either a fiery new hand or a dead new hand.
Yeah. Maybe Victarion is meant to foreshadow Jaime's future hand.
Maybe.
Drink it, Brienne said, unsmiling, and he did. It was half an hour before he felt strong enough to stand. After the dim, wet warmth of the bathhouse, the air outside was a slap across the face. My lord will be looking for him by now, a guard told Qyburn. Her too. Do I need to carry him? I can still walk. Brienne, give me your arm. Clutching her, Jaime let them herd him across the yard to a vast, draughty hall, larger even than the throne room in King's Landing. Huge hearths lined the walls, one every 10 feet or so, more than he could count, but no fires had been lit, so the chill between the walls went bone deep. Now let's go to Clash Aria 7. This is grandly named the Hall of 100 Hearths, even though it only had 30 in some. Arya tried to count them twice, but she came up with 33 once and 35 the other time. A dozen spearmen, and I just thought that was a neat callback that he can't count the hearths. There's too many, and Arya tried to count the hearths, and she couldn't. It's called 100 hearths, but there's really only about 34-ish. A dozen spearmen in fur cloaks guarded the doors and the steps that led up to the two galleries above. In the center of that immense emptiness, at a trestle table surrounded by what seemed like acres of smooth slate floor, the Lord of the Dreadfort waited, attended only by a cupbearer. Edward Martin says, like the dragons would give strength to the Targs. Bree does for Jaime, no doubt. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Well, plus perhaps one of the reasons that they're attracted to each other is their Targaryen blood.
Possibly.
So we just had this callback to Arya not being able to count the 100 hearts that are really 35.
Yeah.
And then we've got this line, right? A dozen spearmen in fur cloaks guarded the doors and steps that led up to the two galleries above. In the center of that immense emptiness, the Lord of the Dreadfort waited, attended only by a cupbearer. Right?
Yeah.
So speaking of Arya, it's Roose Bolton and Harrenhal's cupbearer, which, by the way, used to be Arya and is now her friend and former fiance, Elmar Frey. My lord, said Brienne when they stood before him. Roose Bolton's eyes were paler than stone, darker than milk, and his voice was spider soft. I am pleased that you are strong enough to attend me, sir. My lady, do be seated. He gestured at the spread of cheese, bread, cold meat, and fruit that covered the table. Will you drink red or white? Of indifferent vintage up here. Sir Amory Drain. Yes, I heard, Sammy. Sir Amory Drain, Lady Went's cellar's nearly dry. Somebody rang the doorbell.
Yeah, I heard it.
It's just a package. It's just a package being delivered.
Yeah.
All right, sorry about that. He does that. He does that. That's enough. Sir Amory Drain. Hey, Sammy, come here. Calm down. Sammy made a brief appearance in the debate. Anyway. Of indifferent vintage, I fear. Sir Amory drained Lady Went's cellars nearly dry. I trust you killed him for it. Jaime slid into the offered seat quickly so Bolton could not see how weak he was. White is for Starks. I'll drink red like a good Lannister. I would prefer water, said Brienne. Elmar, the red for Sir Jaime, water for the Lady Brienne, and Hippocras for myself. Bolton waved a hand at their escort, dismissing them. The men beat a silent retreat. So Bolton doesn't offer anyone else his Hippocras, which is typically sweetened mulled red wine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's short on the sweeteners and spices, or if he just was trying to keep the offering simple for efficiency.
Yeah. Or is there something in that drink?
Yeah, he might be hoarding it for himself. Habit made Jaime reach for his wine with his right hand. His stump rocked the goblet, spattering his clean linen bandages with bright red spots, and forcing him to catch the cup with his left hand before it fell. But Bolton pretended not to notice his clumsiness. The Northman helped himself to a prune and ate it with small, sharp bites. Do try these, Sir Jaime. They are most sweet, and help move the bowels as well. Lord Vogler took them from an inn before he burnt it. My bowels move fine. That goat's no lord, and your prunes don't interest me half so much as your intentions. Regarding you, a faint smile touched. Oh, you're switching sides again. You switch sides.
It's okay. They can tell us apart.
Edward Martin says, seems like that type of jackass for sure to be hoarding them for himself.
Yeah.
Regarding you, a faint smile touched Bruce Bolton's lips. You are a perilous prize, sir. You sow dissension wherever you go, even here in my happy house of Harrenhal. His voice was a whisker above a whisper. And in Riverrun as well, it seems. Do you know, Edmure Tully's offered 1,000 golden dragons for your recapture? Is that all? My sister will pay 10 times as much. Will she? That smile again, there for an instant, gone as quick. 10,000 dragons is a formidable sum. Of course, there is Lord Karstark's offer to consider as well. He promises the hand of his daughter to the man who brings me your head. Leave it to your goat to get it backwards, said Jaime. So that's a classic line, the hand of his daughter to the man who brings me your head. Bolton gave a soft chuckle. Harry Karstark was captive here when we took the castle. Did you know? This is an important line right here. This is the last we're going to hear before we hear Alice and Cregan talk about this. I gave him all the Carhold men still with me and sent him off with Glover. I do hope nothing ill befell him at Duskendale. Else Alice Karstark would be all that remains of Lord Rickard's progeny. So according to Dance John 9, Alice and her cousins, who she calls uncles, knew he was a prisoner, but not that he was freed. Her cousins she calls uncles have tried to have Harry executed, but as we now know, he's no longer prisoner. Mm-hmm. In John 10, Cregan says Harrion is dead, and John thinks or will be soon. So, George is setting up all these different inheritance messes, usually with a daughter coming before her uncle, which reminds us the history of Rhaenyra is a bullcrap coup arranged by the priest scholars and their patrons, similar to the erasure of Asherah's the Dione. See Trip the Targaryens episode 1.
You're on fire today, man.
He chose another prune. Fortunately for you, I have no need of a wife. I wed the Lady Walda Frey whilst I was at the Twins. Fair Walda? Awkwardly, Jaime tried to hold the bread with his stump while tearing it with his left hand. Fat Walda. My Lord of Frey offered me my bride's weight in silver for a dowry, so I chose accordingly. Elmar, break off some bread for Sir Jaime. The boy tore a fist-sized chunk off one end of the loaf and handed it to Jaime. Brienne tore her own bread. Lord Bolton, she asked, it said you mean to give Harrenhal to Vargo Hoat. That was his price, Lord Bolton said. The Lannisters are not the only men who pay their debts. I must take my leave soon in any case. Edmure Tully is to wed the Lady Rosalind Frey at the Twins, and my king commands my attendance. Edmure weds, said Jaime. Not Robb Stark? His Grace King Robb is wed. Bolton spit a prune pit into his hand and put it aside. To a westerling of the crag. I'm told her name is Jane. No doubt you know her, sir. Her father is your father's bannerman. My father has a good many bannermen, and most of them have daughters. Jaime groped one-handed for his goblet, trying to recall this Jane. The Westlings were an old house with more pride than power. This cannot be true, Brienne said stubbornly. King Robb was sworn to wed a Frey. He would never break faith. His Grace is a boy of 16, said Roose Bolton mildly. And I would thank you not to question my word, my lady. Yes, who could ever question the word of this most honest man, Roose Bolton?
Yeah.
Jaime felt almost sorry for Robb Stark. He won the war on the battlefield and lost it in a bedchamber, poor fool. How does Lord Walder relish dining on trout in place of wolf? He asked. Oh, trout makes for a tasty supper. Bolton lifted a pale finger toward his cupbearer. Though my poor Elmar is bereft. He was to wed Arya Stark, but my good father of Frey had no choice but to break the betrothal when King Robb betrayed him. This is prideful and stupid. Elmar could have had Ramsay's bride and therefore his claim to the north.
Yeah.
Is there word of Arya Stark? Brienne leaned forward. Lady Catelyn had feared that. Is the girl still alive? Oh, yes, said the Lord of the Dreadfort. You have certain knowledge of that, my lord? Roose Bolton shrugged. Arya Stark was lost for a time, it was true, but now she's been found. I mean to see her return safely to the north. Her and her sister both, said Brienne. Tyrion Lannister has promised us both girls for his brother. Brienne is Jaime's dragon. I like that, Edward Martin.
Yeah.
Sam's love for Gilly makes him transform into a wizard and a hero. Yeah, pretty much.
True.
That seemed to amuse the Lord of the Dreadfort. My lady, has no one told you? Lannisters lie. Is that a slight in the honor of my house? Jaime picked up the cheese knife with his good hand. A rounded point and dull, he said, sliding his thumb along the edge of the blade. It will go through your eye all the same. Sweat beaded his brow. He could only hope he did not look as feeble as he felt. Lord Bolton's little smile paid another visit to his lips. You speak boldly for a man who needs help to break his bread. My guards are, pardon me, my guards are all around us, I remind you. Earl says, I'm eager to see how Brienne's love will transform Jaime. All right, where was I? All around us and half a league away. Jaime glanced down the vast length of the hall. By the time they reach us, you'll be as dead as Ares. 'Tis scarcely chivalrous to threaten your host over his own cheese and olives, Lord of the Dreadfort scolded. In the north, we hold the laws of hospitality sacred still. Oh yes, the Lord of the Dreadfort would never be party to breaking such sacred laws. There might be a little sarcasm there.
A little bit.
I'm a captive here, not a guest. Your goat cut off my hand. If you think some prunes will make me overlook that, you're bloody well mistaken. That took Bruce Bolton aback. Perhaps I am. Perhaps I ought to make a wedding gift of you to Edward Tully, or strike your head off as your sister did for Eddard Stark. I would not advise it. Castle Rock has a long memory. 1,000 leagues of mountain, sea, and bog lie between my walls and your rock. Lannister enmity means little to Bolton. Lannister friendship could mean much. Jaime thought he knew the game they were playing now, but does the wench know as well? He dare not look to see. I'm not certain you're the sort of friends a wise man would want, Bruce Bolton beckoned to the boy. Elmar, carve our guests a slice off the roast. Brienne was served first, but made no move to eat. My lord, she said, Sir Jaime is to be exchanged for Lady Catelyn's daughters. You must free us to continue on our way. The raven that came from Riverrun told of an escape, not an exchange. And if you help this captive slip his bonds, you are guilty of treason, my lady. The big wench rose to her feet. I serve Lady Stark. And Edward Martin says, yes, and when targs are sickly, she brings his honor back, for he was sick with shame. Just my take on it. Oh, I like that.
I do too.
And I, the king of the north, or the king who lost the north, as some now call him. That's not quite as catchy. The king who lost the north, the king who lost the north, the king who lost the north. Who never wished to trade Sir Jaime back to the Lannisters. Does Jaime truly want to die? Sometimes he says he's not afraid of death, and I believe him. Other times he tries to bargain for his life as if he truly wants to live. Which is it? People have their moments of bravery when they're willing to die, and they also have a desire to live. Those aren't incompatible. Sit down and eat, Brienne, Jaime urged as Elmar placed a slice of roast before him, dark and bloody. If Bolton meant to kill us, he wouldn't be wasting his precious prunes on us at such peril to his bowels. He stared at the meat and realized there was no way to cut it one-handed. I'm worth less than a girl now, he thought. And of course, they're talking about trading him for girls, and that was considered ridiculous before and so forth, right?
Yeah.
The goats even the trade, though I doubt Lady Catelyn will thank him when Cersei returns her whelps in like condition. The thought made him grimace. I'll get the blame for that as well, I'll wager. Bruce Bolton cut his meat methodically, the blood running across his plate. Lady Brienne, will you sit if I tell you that I hope to send Sir Jaime on just as you and Lady Stark desire? You'd send us on? The wench sounded wary, but she sat. That is good, my lord. It is. So that's an arguably misleading, very short sentence right there, right? Because she specifically says, you'd send us on, that is good, my lord. And he says, it is. Now, he didn't technically say he was going to do that, but right here, he's saying that is good, which is what she said was you'd send us on. So I'm arguing that that short two-word sentence is arguably him saying what he will later say he never said. So that's all.
Right.
However, Lord Vargo has created me one small difficulty. He turned his pale eyes on Jaime. Do you know why Hope cut off your hand? He enjoys cutting off hands. The linen that covered Jaime's stump was spotted with blood and wine. He enjoys cutting off feet as well. He doesn't seem to need a reason. Nonetheless, he had one. Hope is more cunning than he appears. No man commands a company such as the brave companions for long, unless he has some wits about him. Bolton stabbed a chunk of meat with the point of his dagger, put it in his mouth, chewed thoughtfully, and swallowed. Lord Vargo abandoned House Lannister because I offered him Harrenhal, a reward 1,000 times greater than any he could hope to have from Lord Tywin. As a stranger to Westeros, he did not know the prize was poison. The curse of Harren the Black, mocked Jaime. The curse of Tywin Lannister. Bolton held out his goblet, and Elmar refilled it silently. Our goats should have consulted the Tarbecs or the Rains. They might have warned him how your Lord Father deals with betrayal. There are no Tarbecs or Rains, said Jaime. My point precisely. Lord Vargo doubtless hoped that Lord Stannis would triumph at King's Landing, and thence confirm him in his possession of this castle in gratitude for his small part in the downfall of House Lannister. He gave a dry chuckle. He knows little of Stannis Baratheon either, I fear. That one might have given him Harrenhal for his service, but he would have given him a noose for his crimes as well. A noose is kinder than he'll get from my father. By now he has come to the same realization. With Stannis broken and Renly dead, only a stark victory can save him from Lord Tywin's vengeance, but the chances of that grow perishingly slim. King Robb has won every battle, Brienne said stoutly, as stubbornly loyal of speech as she was of deed. Won every battle while losing the Freys, the Karstarks, Winterfell, and the North. A pity the wolf is so young. Boys of 16 always believe they are immortal and invincible. An older man would bend the knee, I'd think. After a war, there's always a peace, and with peace there are pardons. For the Robb Starks, at least. Not for the likes of Vargo Hoat. Bolton gave him a small smile. Both sides have made use of him, but neither will shed a tear at his passing. Brave companions did not fight in the Battle of the Blackwater, yet they died there all the same. You'll forgive me if I don't mourn? You have no pity for our wretched doomed goat? Ah, but the gods must, else why deliver you into his hands? Bolton chewed another chunk of meat. Carhold is smaller and meaner than Harrenhal, but it lies well beyond the reach of the lion's claws. Once wed to Alice Karstark, Hoat might be a lord in truth. If he could collect some gold from your father, so much the better, but he would have delivered you to Lord Rickard no matter how much Lord Tywin paid. His price would be the maid and safe refuge. But to sell you, he must keep you, and the Riverlands are full of those who would gladly steal you away. Glover and Tallheart were broken at Duskendale, but remnants of their host are still abroad, with the mountains slaughtering the stragglers. 1,000 Karstarks prowl the land south and east of Riverrun hunting you. Elsewhere are dairymen left lordless and lawless, packs of four-footed wolves, and the Lightning Lord's outlaw bands. Dondarrion would gladly hang you and the goat together from the same tree. Lord of the Dreadfort sopped up some of the blood with a chunk of bread. Harrenhal was the only place Lord Vargo could hope to hold you safe, but here his brave companions are much outnumbered by my own men and by Sir Aenys and his Freys. No doubt he feared I might return you to Sir Edmure at Riverrun, or worse, send you on to your father. By maiming you, he meant to remove your sword as a threat, gain himself a grisly token to send to your father, and diminish your value to me. For he is my man as I am King Robb's man, lest his crime is mine, or may seem so in your father's eyes. And therein lies my small difficulty. He gazed at Jaime, his pale eyes unblinking, expectant, chill. I see. You want me to absolve you of blame, to tell my father that this stump is no work of yours, Jaime laughed. My lord, send me to Cersei, and I'll sing as sweet a song as you could want, of how gently you treated me. Any other answer he knew, and Bolton would give him back to the goat. Had I a hand, I'd write it out. How I was maimed by the sellsword my own father brought to Westeros, and saved by the noble Lord Bolton. I will trust to your word, sir. There's something I don't often hear. How soon might we be permitted to leave? And how do you mean to get me past all these wolves and brigands and Karstarks? You will leave when Qyburn says you are strong enough, with a strong escort of picked men under the command of my captain, Walton. Steelshanks he's called, a soldier of iron loyalty. Walton will see you safe and whole to King's Landing. Provided Lady Catelyn's daughters are delivered safe and whole as well, said the wench. My lord, your man Walton's protection is welcome, but the girls are my charge. Lord of the Dreadfort gave her an uninterested glance. The girls need not concern you any further, my lady. Lady Sansa is the dwarf's wife. Only the gods can part them now. His wife? Brienne said, appalled. The imp? But he swore before the whole court, in sight of gods and men. Who would possibly marry after making such a commitment? Cough, cough. See Trophy of the Targaryens, episodes 1 and 2.
There you go.
She is such an innocent. Jaime was almost as surprised, if truth be told, but he hid it better. Sansa Stark, that ought to put a smile on Tyrion's face. He remembered how happy his brother had been with his little crofter's daughter for a fortnight. Our characters are often wrong.
Mm-hmm.
What the imp did or did not swear scarcely matters now, said Lord Bolton. Least of all to you. The wench looked almost wounded. Perhaps she finally felt the steel jaws of the trap when Roose Bolton beckoned to his guards. Sir Jaime will continue on to King's Landing. I said nothing about you, I fear. It would be unconscionable of me to deprive Lord Vargo of both his prizes. Lord of the Dreadfort reached out to pick another prune. Were I you, my lady, I should worry less about Starks and rather more about sapphires. Up next, Storm 38, Tyrion 5. Introducing the rogue, Prince Oberyn Nymeris Martell. Edward Martin says, Nettles, yes, Bray gives him a purpose, not just being his sister's toy. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I like that chapter a lot.
Uh-oh. What's going on here? I think my headset conked out or something.
Yeah, it's sounding a little different.
Say something.
Something.
Yeah, it's coming. It's not coming through the headset.
Oh,
It went for 2 hours and then it kind of conked out on me. So I wound up turning it off at that point.
yeah.
I wish Graywind would have bitten off Rose's fingers. Maybe then he would. Oh, Roos's fingers. Maybe then he would fear Rob over Tywin. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. I doubt he would be as loyal as Great John is.
No, definitely not.
Yeah,
I don't know that it would actually have changed him that much.
no. And that line about where it is? Hold on, let me get to it. Give me a second. It says something about my king.
And I served the king of the north.
No, it doesn't actually say the king of the north. Right before that, oh, was it when I served Lady Stark, and then he says, I should have said it when it happened. I can't never find it again. It'd be all right. But he makes it. The sentence is, and I serve the king.
And I, the king of the north.
Oh, before that, or it might have been after that. There's one time where he doesn't say king of the north. He just says king. Never mind.
And King Rob's man. Maybe really early on. Let me see.
If I had more time, I'd look into it, but I don't want to. I want to kill everybody with dead air.
No, this is still okay. So it has to be. This is, I'm still in the part where he's Bruce isn't there yet. So going on there. King's Secrets, King's. Yeah, that's definitely still it for it. No, I don't think so. I'm not finding that.
Okay. Well, you know me. I'm often wrong.
So girl Nell says evidently fears Tywin a lot in this scene, and Edward Martin says more than Rob, and that's a problem. Definitely. Yeah, I couldn't find anything like that.
All right.
Guys, day off, so was able to stop by. Yeah, appreciate it. Good to have you here.
Oh yeah. Oh, I ain't worried about that line.
Yep.
Okay.
Anyway, we're gonna meet Oberyn.
Yeah. One of my favorite casting in the show is Oberyn Martell.
Of course.
The Mandalorian. Pascal. What's his name?
Pedro.
Pedro Pascal.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. He did an awesome job as Oberyn. Too bad he died. He lost his face and some teeth.
He lives on in Ariane's memories.
Yeah, he lives on in all of our memories. Got anything else? No, it's Monday, man. I'm having one of them days.
Yep. All right.
Well, Hump Day is Theory Day. I'll get with Lady Thistle and Lizzie to see if we're going to do the theories that we had planned to do last week, or if we're doing something different. And then I'll give everybody a heads up.
Is Pedro's in Fantastic Four?
Is he Mr. Fantastic?
I don't know. Edward Martin says he's going to be in Fantastic Four. Kronos, that's just a baby favorite over in quote.
Yeah. All
There's
right.
quite a few good
Well,
quotes.
yeah, it's true. What you say?
The one says, I picked up my horse Thunder in hometown to track your princess. Yep.
Yep,
Favorite
on
line.
Mr. Fantastic. That should be interesting.
All right.
All right. We appreciate everybody joining us today. Happy Monday. Hopefully you'll join us back again on Hump Day for Theory Day. Again, Nettles, congratulations on the debate this weekend. Also for wrangling Richard into a more than judge role.
Well, and forgetting LML to join. That's a good get for someone. Getting
yeah, that's a big
somebody
catch.
with 100,000 subscribers.
Yeah, it's definitely a big catch. So
there will be more debates.
The more debates. If you want Nettles, go back to like the first 5 minutes of this when we're giving the debates praise.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, go back to about the first 5 minutes of this. We're definitely giving you your due.
Oh, it says Bruce Bolton sure is a nice guy. Edward Martin was so cool. Loved it. Speaking of the debate.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, everybody have a good Monday and Tuesday.
The girl Nettles gained 20 subscribers in one day.
Congratulations.
I posted a link to it in the in David's Facebook group, Myth Family.
Yeah. All right. We'll see all y'all back here on Wednesday. Take care. Be good. And thank you. Bye, Richard.